Hey YouTube, welcome back to Death by Metronome. If you want to avoid getting ripped off when trying to find a good deal on a used Gibson /Signature series, then you need to watch this video. Today we're going to take a look at a Gibson /Signature series Les Paul. Let's get to it. The first thing you're going to want to look at is if the deal seems too good to be true. It probably is. Or just the opposite. If the price seems really high for a poor quality instrument, then it's probably a counterfeit. What drew my attention to start off with was the case. Just feeling the case, looking at the case, the material feels really cheap and there's no Gibson logo on it. Looking at the instrument, the easiest and fastest clue is going to be the fretboard and the binding. Gibson covers the fret ends with the binding. They call them the Gibson binding nibs. On these fake guitars, the frets go over the binding. That's going to be the easiest and fastest clue. The next thing you're going to want to look at is the selector switch. For some reason, on these fake Gibsons, the selector switches are really tall as opposed to the factory Gibson equipment. Historically, the fake Gibsons were easy to spot because they had 3-hole truss rod covers. A real Gibson should have 2, so they have fixed that in the counterfeit. This one has 2 holes. However, when we took the truss rod cover off, there's no truss rod at all. Gibson sends a tool with their case candy to adjust the truss rod nut in their truss rods under the truss rod cover. Look at the Gibson logo. The materials that they use for the fake Gibsons often crack. This one here has a very small crack in it. Hard to see, but you can definitely tell it's there. Also, the real Gibson logos are going to be crisp and thinner. These are not as crisp and they're a little bit wider. Another thing that's really hard to get right is the Gibson open book headstock. If you look closely at the fakes, the point is very curved. It's not sharp like a real Gibson. The serial numbers on the fakes are pretty easy to spot as well. This one follows Gibson's 9-digit serial number coding system. I'm pretty sure this is a real serial number that Gibson used on a guitar, but this guitar is fake. A real Gibson serial number will have a finish over the top of it. This one does not. As far as Gibson hardware, these tuners say Gibson Deluxe, but you can definitely tell when you're using them that they are not real Gibson tuners. The coloration is way off and the molding manufacturing is terrible. There's sharp corners and pieces sticking out on almost all of them. Next thing we're going to look at is the pots. This cavity in the back is very poorly routed out, and you can see clear space in between the cover and the actual routing cavity. If you see these little dime size pots, they're just cheap knockoffs. They are not Gibson pots or any pots that would be used in a /Signature series. Take a look at the bridge and the tailpiece. If you see these big flathead screws, that is a big indicator that this is fake. This is not a Gibson ABR1 bridge. Also, the Slash model in particular comes with Schaller strap locks. These strap locks are not Schaller strap locks, and they are not like any strap lock or strap button that I've seen on any Gibson before. Do not use any one of these indicators to determine the authenticity of the instrument. However, look at it as a whole. Also, this is not an exhaustive list. There are other things that might give away that it's fake, but it is an instrument. So the question is, how does it sound? Let's take a listen.